Welcome to Secular Soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else Amy and Amy want to talk about, because this is their show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity.
You want to hear a secret?
I won't tell anybody. Go ahead. If I sit next to you, I'm going to get gonorrhea. It's going to jump into me. Just two ladies hanging out.
Is it okay for me to make fun of his neck waddle if I make fun of my own neck waddle?
I'm not sure.
That's a real ethical conundrum.
Would you know if you were born a lizard person, or can you be like adopted into
I think you know.
We're such professionals.
We really are.
Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup.
I'm Amy with a Y.
And I'm Amy with an I.
And Kitty.
Aww. He is so annoying. When I sit in this chair.
Oh, I'm shut away because my cats are putting their paws under the door.
Yeah, I'm not at home right now, so that works out perfect. But I'm with somebody else.
Felicia with an F.
Yeah, we have Felicia with an F here. And I guess an A at the end.
A. Yeah.
Felicia with an A. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else it would be, but
I don't know.
I need to straighten out my camera. Anyway, so we are two blueberries floating in a bowl of tomato soup. Today we're three blueberries.
Just we
have Felicia Entwistle with us today. Can you pronounce your last name? Because in my head, I do it wrong every time, I think.
Well, you did do it wrong, but I don't go by that anymore anyway.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I haven't updated it everywhere, but I actually go by Felicia Hart now.
Oh,
Hart. Yeah.
Well, that's way easier to pronounce and remember. So
it is. Yeah.
Nice.
I decided that I wanted to go by a different name, and I'm not going to change my name legally because I am lazy.
Same.
Yeah,
my legal name is still my ex's legal name, and I don't give a fuck.
I'm going to change mine back to my maiden name, but
you've always liked it more. You have always.
Yes, I've always liked it more. I'm 21 years into being mad about changing my name. Shouldn't have done it. Have been mad for 21 years.
3 years to change mine. I'm not. There's no way I'm going to change it back.
This isn't my Hart isn't my partner's name.
Yeah, no, you just a name you.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it when people do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was at the bar with my friend and he was like, "Oh, we're going to close out and for me," and he said his name and then he said my name, but he was like my Facebook name, and I was like, "Oh.
Yeah.
That's not my real name." I'm like, "You don't realize my real name."
I had to start telling dates.
Name.
When I'm doing Facebook dating, that's
I don't
my
tell anybody
name.
my real name.
I only tell them if we are
Even
if
then,
we are going to meet in person, and then I'm like, by the way,
I don't even care.
Not actually my last name.
I don't care. Literally, how long had I known Walter? It was Walter.
True.
He didn't know my last name until last summer. I've known him for 3 years.
Well, my only problem now is the kids have their dad's last name, which the older one won't care. But the other day I'm like, oh fuck, my younger son, that's gonna be a thing for him. He's gonna get sad if I'm just going by with a Y from here on out. Yeah. He's a very sensitive soul. He is
any change.
Any change. And he's autistic. So any change is a big deal. And there's already
a divorce.
There's already a divorce happening that is in his entire household has we cut the house in half. So my husband lives in the basement now and I live in the upstairs. Things are weird.
God. So, oh my God.
Yeah, things are weird.
It's nice though. At least you have a basement.
We do. And now it's got a bathroom that should have been finished 10 years ago, but now it's done. So that worked out.
What is it? Need is the mother of all finally getting chores done.
Right.
It's
when I told my ex who was getting a divorce, he was like, "Look, I'm folding all these clothes." I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah. Mine.
Cool.
Weeks and weeks of not having to do anything because he did all of it. It was sad. In my case, I don't hate my husband. It's a long story. I'll tell you all about it later. But
we don't have time for this, Amy.
I know. I'm just saying it sucks. Divorce sucks. I'll put it that way. Anyway, so Felicia, tell us about yourself and what you do in your show and
so
what's your thing? Tell us your entire origin story. Start at the beginning.
Oh God, no. Oh, that's too long.
I assume people in Utah were hatched.
Yeah.
But I wasn't raised Mormon.
But that's
So
I just think it's in the
it's
state.
the area.
I think you just are hatched like a dragon,
Oh God,
That
that'd be
makes
cool.
sense.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I could
But
see
they're
that.
kept warm by like but the Mormons do
cat
help.
is-
They like blow flame on the eggs.
He
I
is
don't-
standing.
He loves
he's
you so
standing on my.
much.
He does.
My cats do that too. They lay across me, and I have two of them, and one will lay this way, and the other will lay on top of her, and then up there, I'm like, you guys, like
Mhm.
you can't
So
do.
this is
They are not for you.
Orzo. He is. What are you, 12 now? 11?
Aw,
11, 12 years
Mhm.
old.
So cute.
it's pretty.
He doesn't know that he's old.
No,
He's technically a senior, but you wouldn't know it. And when I sit in this chair, it's Orzo time. He does not care that I am trying to do stuff. He thinks that this is where it's
gosh.
pay attention to him time.
it's so sweet.
But a lot of places are pay attention to him time. I'm
Yeah.
also not allowed to cuddle with my partner Roger at night very long because he insists that we cuddle at night, and he will make a thing out of it.
He's a very jealous lover. Yeah.
He is, yes.
Mhm.
He's like, he makes my little familiar.
He's so
And
cute
so sweet.
though.
He is
I
extremely
love
cute.
it.
He's also pretty friendly. Like when new people come over, he hides for like 5 minutes, and then he's biting me, or he's biting me.
Cats do
Yeah,
that.
that's what my cats do. And my cats have been ignoring me since the divorce also because they are also angry with me over it.
I know.
So whatever.
I'm also divorced, so
Me too.
All
Yeah.
three. Go team. I'm trying to get
I-
everybody on team divorce.
I mean, honestly, the best gift I ever gave myself
I
was
was 24.
I
like-
was also 24.
Yeah, it was too young.
Wait, you were 24 when you got married or
So
divorced?
when I got divorced,
Or-
because I'm only 28 now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm doing
I
the- I'm
forget.
doing
I forget how
podcast
young
math.
you are, Amy.
I'm doing my podcast math. I'm like, how old did I lie about? What did I say my age was?
No, I really did. I
Oh
met
no, I
him when
believe you. I don't believe me.
Yeah,
He
never
was-
believe her.
I was
He
married for
was-
20 years too, so it's literally I'm a liar.
I was with him for 7. I met him when I was 17. He
Wow.
was not 17. He
Wow.
was 21.
That's
I
not
don't
too
know.
bad. That's not terrible, but
I've heard worse.
it's the ick factor. Yeah, just today in the news I heard worse.
Mhm.
He was a bad person, so we can
the
judge him for that.
Leonardo
Oh,
DiCaprio
good.
thing. I'm like 19. Like,
I'll happily judge any man you ask me
well,
to.
I judge
It's totally
people
fine.
constantly. I'm judging Amy right now.
I don't even listen to you,
I
so
know.
it's fine.
Keeps asking me for
Uh,
nicknames for her new
so
boat.
let's
I'm like,
see.
you don't want to do that. No,
I do.
I'm a
So yeah, tell us
co-host.
about your show.
I'm on Utah Outcasts.
Mhm.
hey, we've been there
yeah.
a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We kind of shut down like
Yeah.
networking and stuff for a while. We got a little
Mhm.
scared off from the whole thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
But it's time to like put ourselves back out there. We're trying
Yeah.
again.
You've got a lot of
We did a show
know,
with Just X a couple, like 6, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's
2.5
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty sure I
'cause
monopolized that one with divorce conversation.
pretty sure
too.
you did.
Yeah.
It's your,
on my
it's your
mind. I
brand.
can't help it. It's my new brand.
So it's a lot though. Like
I
It's a
know.
lot.
I didn't have kids though or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what makes it hard.
Yeah, me too.
He's also 13 pounds. Like, which I know isn't like the biggest cat,
That's a
but
big
it
cat,
is.
though.
It's
That's
enough.
big. Yeah,
Especially
that's
when they
big.
come like jumping and then they full force jump on you. You're like, oh,
He doesn't do that. He does.
mine does.
He does titty step
Yeah.
though, like with little pencil
Mhm.
paws. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's my favorite.
Mine does literally the zoomies at night, and she will come bounding. I can hear her coming. I'm like, brace myself because I know she's gonna run across me and then jump to the headboard and then jump down. I'm like, oh, I know it's coming.
Oh god.
He's
I
done
call
that
her
to
Captain
Roger a
Bullshit.
couple of
It's
times.
not her name.
He's done that to Roger a couple of times, but he doesn't really do that to me. Also, we got a new couch and it has a sleeper,
Oh,
but
fun.
his cat tree isn't very far from it, and he figured out that he can parkour from the top to the sleeper when we were sick.
Yeah, I am
So,
currently at my friend's
him.
house pet sitting for 3 dogs and 3 cats and an entire like
Whoa.
aviary of birds in there and a bunch of fish. And yeah,
Oh
so if
my
anybody hears birds, but one of the dogs just found some plastic bags to crunch around in, which is perfect for podcasting. So
It's everyone's favorite sound. At least it's better than those like ASMR like cooking videos that have the
Boy,
squelching noises.
I can't
It's
do
the
those.
worst.
I can't do
And I'm
those
like,
and the pimple popping things. I can't do those. I
no.
can't.
no.
It makes me, even those previews, like those commercials that pop up on
No.
games with like the ads for it, like the cartoon games. I'm like, nope, I cover it up.
Oh, have you seen that show on Netflix where they design sex dungeons?
Not yet.
What?
Yes.
No?
So I was at my friend.
That sounds like something I'm very
It is on
interested in,
Netflix,
though.
and I was watching it at my friend Leslie's house the other night with Leslie and Aaron, and she's like, "Oh, we got to watch this." And it's like one of those shows where they make over your house, but they make over an entire room into a sex dungeon for you.
I would do that.
Yeah,
And it's this little old British lady who does all of it.
Of course it is. She's older, isn't she?
Of course, yes. So she is like designing all of it, and she's talking to the couples and tell me about your penis. Like it's so good. We sat and
Tell me
watched
about
it.
your penis.
It was fantastic. I have some,
You know, people don't like it if you start conversations like that, but I'm still
I
gonna.
know.
I'm
I
going
know.
to
But
still.
I mean, the rooms they made were fantastic. Holy shit, they were just decked out. It was, yeah, you got to watch it. I
I'm
can't
gonna
remember what it's called.
blush
But yeah,
because
I'm sure
I
if you
have a
Google it.
beer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
blush.
I
Oh
haven't.
yeah, I always do that. I
So-
get pink.
My nose gets all red, so I am
No,
not drinking.
I'm wearing a
Just
lot of makeup right now because I got a new
drive
brush.
later. I'm also wearing a lot of makeup. How long
I'm
have you
wearing
been
a-
doing Utah
I'm great.
Outcasts? Yeah, you look fabulous without makeup. So
Oh, stop.
Oh, please. Oh.
Let's see.
Oh, this whole
Since
face.
2015.
Nice.
wow.
Yeah. So 8
Been a while.
years
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time. Mostly it's just fun, you know. Like,
How are you not sick of those dudes yet, though? That's my question.
It's impressive. They're queer, so I think
Oh,
that
well,
helps.
that could be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could
Queer
totally
dudes
help.
like do get a lot longer staying
It's
power,
fair.
right?
You don't want
I
to just
agree.
like send them out of the country
Mhm.
or
Yeah. So I
Murder
think
them.
that's the secret to like me like still loving them is that they're not actually straight. So
makes it
That's good
possibly
advice. Only be friends
Possibly-
with not straight men. Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
never date a fully straight man again either. Like I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you say that, but
and I keep. That's why I just
you
have dick
keep breaking
appointments.
your own rule.
No, those
It's
are
so
just
hard,
this
though,
dick
like-
appointments. That's it. They don't even have names. They are just dick
They
appointments.
don't. I can't remember the name. She'll just be like the 32-year-old. I'm like, what 32-year-old? I don't.
We have to talk about that off the air right now.
I know. I'm just
I-
saying. You talk about
I
people by their
love-
age, and I can't keep track of all of these people. So
I love that for you. I have
it's
not
fantastic.
Well, I was
Yeah.
Mormon for 34 years somehow. I think
making
it
up
was
for
into
it.
the womb. No, I was Mormon for so long that I kind of like need it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I wasn't. So I born and raised in Utah.
Never had a
Never-
hoe season, so
I did. I've had, and I probably will again.
I mean
My-
it's secular. I think it's comes
My
in
partner
waves.
and I are poly, so but yeah, like I just the pandemic kind of made me like step back from a lot of
Mhm.
that.
Well, yeah,
for
you don't want to get
obvious
COVID.
reasons. No. Oh, so
Did you just say COVID? I
Of course I
just
said
caught
COVID.
that.
If you're on a
Damn
dick
it.
appointment and you get COVID, it's called COVID. That's how I got COVID.
Okay. Anyway,
I got the only person who could have given me COVID was a pretty girl who I totally have a crush on,
Mhm.
and I didn't make a move that night and totally should have.
ugh. Yeah, if you were gonna get it anyway.
You're like, I mean,
I am so bad at like flirting with women. Like I
women are the
really,
worst to flirt with.
they need to
Because
come
you're
on to
already
me.
sending nudes. You're already there. Like everything. You're like, is this friendly? Does she like me? Because this is how I literally all my girlfriends.
Are you describing
Like-
my life?
I mean, and then I even get on, like, I've been on dating apps talking to women. I'm like, none of them are liking me. But I go out to bars and women hit on me. Like, what is that? I don't even know. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
I don't
See, at least I don't.
Same boat.
I don't
So
know.
that's why
Sometimes I
have
think
the
it's
great appointments
Sorry.
until I can figure that shit out.
yeah, no, it's you don't want to wear uncomfortable stuff. I say all the time that I am I forget the word I use because I have a lot on my mind, but I'm straight, but I'm tragically straight.
That's what my friend said. Yeah, tragically
I'm
straight.
tragically straight because I'm like, if I
Not
just
a
liked
choice.
women, that would be so much easier. But then at the same time, I guess I'm only dealing with 50% of the population
Right.
and trying to date them
Yeah,
and
but
not
it's-
100% of them.
Well,
But
I'm
I
super
don't know.
judgy, so I'm only dealing with like 5% of the population.
True.
But like
Because
that
I'm not
half,
talking to any of them. Like
It's
half
the
is
worst
not sending
half.
their best. They're
Yeah,
they're
no,
not
it's the
sending
worst
their
half.
best.
they're not
Absolutely
sending-
not.
No, the dating
Oh God,
pool
no.
is rancid. It's rancid.
No, you should see. So my friend Erin and I are in a small town, which means we are competing for literally the same men because we're in a small town and we are both on
They're
Facebook dating.
counting fish pictures at this
And
point.
we are we're looking for the same age range and we're both liberals and we're both atheists. And there is not a
No.
huge crop of those men in our town.
My
That
favorite though
sounds
was that Erin posted a
awesome.
picture of her with a
She
fish.
did. Oh my God.
Kind of like up her odds.
And it worked.
I know.
She was upset because she wasn't getting a ton of matches.
So she
And
has
she's
a
like,
fish
fuck it, I'm going to put a picture of me and a fish because every guy in this area has a picture of him with a fish. Like, that's the thing. They all
Incredible.
have them. So she
10 out
put
of
one up
10.
of her, and the next morning she had, like 50 matches. Everybody wanted the girl with the fish, apparently. So that works. But we've had a few that the same person will pop up for both of us. And I'm like, holy shit, what do we do? Do we call dibs? Like, I got it first. Do we share them all?
Can you run a train on a guy, or is that just a?
I don't. We
Oh,
could
you
figure out
super
how.
can.
I would
I'm sure we
absolutely do that. I would
could.
be like, okay, tag out.
I
Like,
mean, I love Erin. I don't know if I want to get that close to Erin.
okay,
though.
yeah,
Like,
you said the
that
same
would
thing
take our
about me
relation.
today, and that really hurt my heart.
I
Amy.
don't want to be in an orgy with you, Amy.
I'm just
Jesus
saying that hurt
fucking
my heart.
Christ.
That
Oh my
comment-
God. Are you friends or not? Is
Thank
what I
you.
have to say
When
with
I
a
saw
We
wild.
that
are, which is why I
comment,
don't
I
want to
almost
be in
threw
an
my
orgy.
phone across the room. I was like, wow, that
Betrayal.
Yeah, Amy got invited to an orgy at Skepticon, and I did not. Did you hear this story?
Okay. See, first you said invited to an orgy, and I was like, oh fuck yeah. And then at Skepticon, and
Yes, but
it was fine. It was fine.
it was, they invited Amy and not me. I don't want to go to the orgy. I have no interest in being in an orgy. I
was sitting there with my tits out.
The fact that I was not invited and she was is so rude.
You were outside smoking, and I was sitting there with my tits out.
I know. That's what you're always doing though.
And
And that was still Amy 2.1, not Amy 2.0.
That's fair. 2.0.
see, Ho days
so
are
anyway,
great, though.
Yeah, we brought Felicia on so we could talk about Skepticon ourselves. What do you? So you wanted to talk about anarchy?
Yeah. Anarchist Feminism.
Anarchist Feminism.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about this, but like I have evolved in my socialism to an anarchist.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually really interested in that because
people have no idea what anarchy is.
I don't. Like I have a general idea, but I know I don't understand it in the way that it's meant to function. If that makes sense.
I'm gonna have to pull my hair up. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna look silly, but
that's our brand.
No, I get it. I have sister wife hair. It's like super long and it's always up everywhere.
I oiled it.
Mine's all falling out from stress, so this is all fake.
Go back to the divorce
because I'm getting divorced anyway. Go ahead.
My hair is goes past my butt crack now. Like not like below my butt, but like where the butt crack starts, it's longer than that.
Wow.
I've been taking very good care of it, but since I just oiled it today, it's looking oily. It's the longest I've ever had it, and I'm like, I thought I hit terminal length, but it turns out like I can get it longer. So I'm kind of obsessive right now.
I understand.
So a lot of people don't understand what anarchy is, and most people, when they do come across it, especially here in the States, they come across anarcho-capitalists. And that's a stupid thing to say. So like it's an oxymoron to be an anarcho-capitalist because like fundamentally what anarchy is opposition to, we say unjust hierarchies,
Mhm.
but basically we believe that society tends towards the desire for flat hierarchies,
Mhm.
and that if we actually achieved liberation for everyone, then we would just do flat hierarchies, and that those can be maintained by communities and by societies. So that basically like is opposition to all oppression, and capitalism is very specifically a hierarchy,
Yeah.
like a
And it
very
feeds
vertical,
on oppression.
brutal. It
Yeah,
is,
that-
Yeah.
like you need bosses, you know,
Yeah.
and so you can't, like, you have to have people who own things and people who don't to
Right.
do capitalism. That's what matters, is the owning class, and so you can't be an anarcho-capitalist. What they mean is corporate feudalist, like just that each corporation is its own state.
Oof.
Instead of like kings and queens,
Yeah.
it would just be CEOs, which
So does that mean I'm a serf at my company?
Yeah.
like actually, I mean,
Basically, yeah.
there is a term in like classic Marxism called wage slave,
Oh, yeah.
which is different than direct slavery, because a lot of people
Because
get
you
really,
actually get a wages.
yeah. So what it basically what it means is that you don't have the choice. You have to work for someone else in order to survive.
Right.
That's true.
It's
I like
not-
eating. I like having food.
Yeah, and
lights.
shelter. Yeah,
Yeah,
those
that's
are
huge. It's a huge thing.
pretty rad. And in
Yeah.
order to obtain those in our society, you have to sell your body and your brain
time.
and your time.
Mhm.
And you don't really have a choice in the matter. A lot of people who stan capitalism like to say that, well, you can just choose not to work, but like you can't. Come on,
No, you
come
can't.
on.
Like that's a real place of privilege, Kyle.
Mhm.
I'm assuming Chad
No,
or
what
Kyle.
they mean is that if you really don't want to work, you can just choose to starve to death on the street.
Right.
Well, that's always an option.
So I
I
can
mean,
just,
That's an
you know,
option.
yeah,
But
I
like
could just die.
you have this threat of necessary resources being held over your head, and so you have to do profit making labor, and you don't get that profit.
right.
No.
That they give you a small portion of the profit that your work creates and the rest goes to somebody else who's not doing that work, an owner, somebody who owns the company. Just, and a lot of times it's just the idea of like we put a name on a piece of paper and they say, I own this paper, and they're like, yep, you get all the profit. Yeah, and so
To
like
an
there is
obscene
It's
level
wild to
too.
think
Like
about
the
it.
CEO pay right now is
Oh, I
obscene.
know.
Yeah. But that's like the way capitalism always tends, and
Sure.
and these vertical hierarchies always push towards more and more power being pushed up to the very few at the top,
Yeah.
because if they release that, and when there are times of like pushback, which usually come after mass like revolutions and people's fighting back very physically, whenever there's any sort of equalizing there, it always pushes back towards this, because they're the ones who have the ability to make the rules, and they're the ones who have the ability to to create and reinforce systems. So they reinforce the systems in the ways that serve their interests
All the time.
So Anarchist Feminism is actually a view of hierarchies with a particular focus in feminism.
What about
like,
the men? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
yeah.
I'm
So,
just kidding.
well, like, I mean, yeah, though, right? We think that it's better for everyone.
I know, but I've heard that so many times.
The
Like,
hell you
what about
say?
egalitarian? I'm like, no. I mean, I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Right now,
people,
we need to talk
but-
about feminism.
but people who say they're egalitarian like that, they don't even know what that word means because, like, yeah, that's what I'm seeking.
It feels like a hashtag not all men, or you know,
It
what
is.
about white
It feels
white
like I don't see
month,
color.
like White Pride Month or whatever, you know.
I don't.
Like,
No, it sounds like I don't see color.
yeah, exactly.
That's what it sounds like.
That's what it sounds like.
By the way, libertarian is originally a socialist term. It was libertarian socialist, which was also just means anarchists.
I did not know that.
That wasn't they stole the term from us. Murray
To
Rothbard.
be Republicans with weed.
I was gonna say
yeah.
Republicans with weed.
Yes, and so when they say I'm an egalitarian, it's like one of the right wing libertarians.
Absolutely, that's who it is.
No, you're not.
Yeah. It's like always on a
You're
feminist post. You're like, oh, all this feminist stuff, all this feminism, and they're like, well, what about? Oh, I got a discussion about that the other day because someone was talking about words that only women should use amongst themselves, and men shouldn't really refer to women in that way, like, you know, bitch and other words and stuff. And this one guy was like, what words do men get? It's like literally all of them.
All the rest of them. Yeah.
So shut the fuck up. Like,
But who will think of being fair to the men?
we really need
You
to.
always gotta
need to make sure that we're fair.
Yeah.
to the men.
Has anyone heard? Have they checked in on the
Are
men?
they
Like,
doing okay?
Oh,
Are the men
they
doing
are
okay?
not though. They're not actually.
You're not.
Good
Toxic
point.
masculinity is hurting everybody.
It's there. I don't know if you guys have caught on, but men are not good.
They're doing totes bad. Like,
You know what though? I have started taking an approach where now that I am dating, my first step is that I convince them to go to therapy, and then once I help them find a therapist,
That's
and then
why
once
you
they
don't
found a
date 'em,
therapist,
Amy.
then I go out with
Fuck 'em.
them.
You're
I'm
really
doing my
broken
part.
and you move
You're
on.
doing so much labor. They
I'm
are
doing my
you.
part.
I'm just like,
I'm just
no,
saying.
I'm sorry you're a broken human. I'm going to fuck you a couple times, and then I'm going to go along the road and meet your neighbors. Like,
I fucked a guy once who wasn't sure if the biblical flood happened or not. So,
see, didn't say date him, fucked him.
however,
I'm
I
just-
draw the line at cop. Like,
Always.
there is
get it.
no.
I will
They can't be
absolutely
trusted.
anyone in law enforcement of any kind.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
who
yeah.
has
Oh.
a desire to become in law enforcement. Like,
That's
I
red
worked
flag.
my way to go to the
very-
academy. I'm like, ooh, you're gonna hit me.
Mhm.
You're
I
gonna
have
hit
a very broad brush
Yeah.
that we call cop.
me.
Like
Yeah, okay.
prosecutors, that's cops.
Mhm.
You work in the DA's office, you're a cop.
Are you gonna narc on me? Oh, you will. Okay.
You
okay.
will. No, do not trust.
Mandatory
Fuck
drug
that.
reporter. We're not friends.
Ugh. No.
It's all ACAB. It's all the way.
I feel like I'm doing my part just for humanity, though. Like,
I mean, I
One-
appreciate your
reach
emotional
one, teach
labor at
one,
this
one at a
point.
time. Get them into therapy,
Oh
figuring
my
their
God,
shit out.
no. Their ex-wives are
Yeah.
probably thanking you.
Maybe.
God.
I doubt it. Now that we went on a tangent, tell us more about it.
Yeah. So where like you're like so like you'll hear a lot of people say things like they're a Marxist, and this is like
Oh
in
yeah.
disagreement with like other forms of leftist. The thing is that like everyone who gets into like who reads theory, not that everyone who becomes a leftist or a socialist or anything must necessarily read Marx. I have actually not read Marx. I have I hate reading Marx. He's so boring.
It was boring.
It's really truly
Yeah.
awful.
I had to
but
take notes and like read the notes really slowly just to understand what I was reading.
I've listened to stuff, and I
Yeah.
listen to other theory. So that's like that like, but anarchists also reference Marx because it's kind of like Marx is really useful for explaining, like for pointing out the systems we live in, the water we swim in, right?
Yes.
And like he got a lot wrong when you get to the more like advanced Marx, I'd say. But like the straight, like what is class?
Oh yeah.
What is capitalism?
The basic needs, the things that need to be met, all
Right.
of that stuff, like the working
working class, and
Working
like
class
what
stuff.
what
all of
makes
that.
someone proletariat versus bourgeoisie, stuff like that. Like he's just very helpful for that. And but so Marxists tend to be referring when somebody says they're a Marxist, what they tend to mean is a Marxist-Leninist, which you hear Lenin, so you think Lenin developed that particular. No, it was Stalin. Stalin made Marxist-Leninism, and fuck Stalin.
That's a harsh
Amy
take.
wants to, but
Kidding.
okay.
Just kidding.
You would be shocked though.
I know. People he
Tankies
had some
are
great
out.
ideas. You're like, wow, no.
Ugh. Just ethnic cleansing. So it's fine.
Eh.
Purposeful famine. Just cool.
Who hasn't done that?
There was also a famine that was accidental, and also exacerbated by them being dum-dums. But you can't really hold that against somebody, in my opinion. Like just being an idiot isn't necessarily your fault. It was part of the problem was they didn't a lot of early leftists, and like this actually does exist in some like conspiracy left sides of things. They rejected genetics as a thing.
I think people still reject genetics.
Yeah, they do. But they knowingly did, because they thought that it supported the Nazi eugenic thing, like ideas, and they didn't believe it. And like they kind of thought it sounded like, people were born to be poor and serfs and slaves. And then there was the few great who were born to lead us. And so like that was a lot of leftists rejected it because they were like, that's not true. Well, it turns out that isn't true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right? Yeah. But genetics is real. But because a lot of leftists rejected genetics, some of the early revolutionaries accidentally did some famines. So that's fun. I mean, there was a lot.
Not bad.
There is a lot of fault to go around for that too. I don't want to get into it. This isn't a history lesson.
Okay.
But anarchists have been around since forever. Marx and Engels used to correspond with anarchists. Anarchists actually have like a lot of our thought in socialist movements that predate Marx. It's not like Marx invented socialism.
No.
And basically, we just don't think we need people to tell us what to do. That people are actually evolved to work together. That's kind of like our species' number one thing. And when we're allowed to do that, we're actually really good at it. And when we confront patriarchy as like these systems of oppression, what we find is the solution is to actually demand and enforce equality. Now I know like people hear enforce and like they're like cops, but anarchy. And it's like, no, mostly this would be done through joking. I'm not kidding. Mostly you can keep people in check with their shame, but
with shame.
Well, there's social contracts that kind of keep us in line too. Like
I reject social contract theory.
Really?
Yes, I do. So the social contract theory basically says that like before society, it was it was a war of all against all, right?
Yeah.
Everyone out for themselves. That's not true.
No.
Like that's just factually not true. In fact, our societies lasted for thousands of years as egalitarian, really minimal violence. And they did this for a really long time. And there was some incredible like collective projects like that were built, like the Easter Island statues. Those were not done because some king wanted them. It's just people liked making them.
Aliens.
Yeah, they're just people liked making them. Like,
yeah,
and
they're actually really cool too.
They are. They're super cool. So like some necessary components of like what anarchy looks like in practice is flat hierarchies, meaning that everyone starts from an equal. And if you need to have somebody be like in charge of something, like let's say somebody's like instructing a child, you better keep that power in check. And one really great way of doing that is letting the kids just make fun of the teacher and the teacher make fun of them back. Again, humor is actually shockingly powerful for keeping people humble.
It is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like there's a reason why kings only let like one guy make fun of them. So like that would be like someone has maybe more power in that situation and that they have more knowledge than a child or something like that. But don't let that go to their head.
Right.
And then also the abolition of all states, which we view as just the same system as capitalism, but like the enforcement arm of capital, essentially. And then the abolition of all money, which, I mean, Karl Marx didn't really describe what communism would look like, but he did say that like what makes something communism is a moneyless, classless, stateless society. So we're talking, you know, the end of all classes. We're talking race and patriarchy and poor and rich, right? No classes. And then no money. Fuck money. We don't actually need it. It's pretend.
Don't. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
it's not even paper anymore either. It's just a number on my phone.
Yeah, but guess what? It doesn't matter what we're using as. It's all pretend when we decide that like this is money now. And money is really just a system of keeping the powerful powerful and restricting resources.
It's just categorizing people by numbers.
Yeah, based on need. Yeah. So like it's arbitrary.
I was just so at my shop, I think about this all the time because just from having like a thrift shop, I'm in the business of random shit, just all kinds of random shit all the time. And I know, and because I live in a small town and I know tons of people, if there's something that I'm looking for, something that I need, or just anything, all I have to do is in my head be like, okay, who do I know that does this thing? They will come help me with that thing. Yeah. And they do. And then when they have a thing that they need help with, and I'm the one that can do it, which can be any number of things. It can be some kind of project. It can be the extra blankets that I don't need. Like people are pretty good about relying on, I feel like, those extended social networks to help each other. Like
we really are actually, and we're actually really good at very complex organizing without the need of somebody to actually be in charge. And in fact, it's the people in charge who always cause the problem.
Right. And they also limit what you do.
They do.
When you can do all of these things, they're like, you're in charge of writing this number down.
Yeah, that's what
from 8 to 5. That's all.
Yeah, specialization is
you write this number down.
It isolates workers from each other, and it creates that part of like there's so many systems of alienation between each other. But when we do have the opportunities to connect and meet, we're just so fucking good at it. There's this great story about and if anybody wants to check out the book Paradise Built in Hell, fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah. And hell is a metaphor. It's not really, but it's about real stories. And one of the stories, I think this is in the book. I might be using this with I was reading this book at the same time as I heard this story. So it might not be in the book, but this is right in line. So there was the Alaskan earthquake at Anchorage, and it was something like, it was huge. Let me check. Oh, of course, no. Just don't type. It's fine. 64. And it was it was really bad. I can't remember what it was on the meter, whatever that thing is, but it was a really
Geiger.
Yeah. It was a pretty extreme, and I mean, like, roads collapsed. Devastating earthquake. And there was this one lady, and of course I'm forgetting her name. Damn it. Jeannie, I want to say. She had just started her job as like a news correspondent on the radio, and they were very sexist to her.
Shocking.
They were like, "Oh, good job, little lady." Like her first story was reporting on the dog sled races, which I mean, delight if you ask me. And she did a good job. She started out nervous, but she did a good job. And they're like, well done, little lady. Well, after this earthquake happened, she went into town. She took her kid. She's like, I just got to go to town. I just got to get into town. And she gets to the studio, and there's like no one who knows how to get on the radio there. So she gets on, and she starts coordinating the rescue and the efforts to get people shelter and get people food. And people just start she didn't do this to like be in charge. People start like handing her
she did it because she had the ability. She had the platform to do it.
She had the know-how.
Yeah.
And she had no idea how to coordinate a disaster relief, but people started like just handing her, so-and-so needs this. And people just did it. People didn't need anyone in charge. No, they didn't need anyone telling them what to do. They just needed to be told where the need was.
Yeah.
Right.
And people covered it themselves, and people really stepped up and helped each other and took care of each other. And this happens over and over. It wasn't an exchange of money. There wasn't, we didn't need people to when the Red Cross shows up in places, more often than not, they fuck things up.
They make it worse. Yeah.
Because they are invested in maintaining the power of states. And so to do that, they need to get people in line. And that means restricting resources, which is what the Red Cross does. Because if you let people go too long, realizing they don't need the state, things are going to start being a problem for states. And we don't need bosses. We don't need jobs. We don't,
unless they're me. I'm just saying. Put me in charge of everything. I will fix it.
That would go to your head so fast.
I've said it before and I've said it again. I'll say it in the future. Just make me the president and I will fix everything.
She would be the worst president.
I'd be a dictator. I'd be terrible.
Yeah. She would be like, everybody on this side, tell me
I'd be an evil queen. Have you seen the Broadway show Come From Away?
No, I love Broadway too.
You need to see that one because that entire story it's based on a true story of on 9/11, this little town in Canada. Yeah, and it's just basically this town is like, well, fuck. We're getting these diverted planes here. What do we do? All these people need food and there are babies and they need diapers, and like this little town just kind of comes together and they show up and they're like, okay, well, I've got this and I've got that, and they all show up at the school together and they're just like, who's got what?
Did you know it's illegal to feed unhoused people yourself? Yeah.
Yep. I did.
You will get arrested if you try to feed people without the proper permits, which cost so much money, and the proper space. What constitutes proper? And they use excuses like food safety, but everyone can learn food safety. Like we can just do that, and it's not like the state is actually enforcing that. Trust me.
No,
I've worked in food service for too long.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
like the state doesn't give a shit about food safety. No, anyone can learn it. So yeah, your ass will get arrested. Like, just helping each other is often illegal. It's illegal.
Which is just such. Oh, God.
So how does this apply to feminism?
So one of the major forms of oppression in society, where some will even say the oldest form of oppression is patriarchy. Now, something like the old. So when we look at like the old world, right? Like we're talking pre-ancient, right? Prehistory, which we actually do know quite a bit about now. We actually see that, like I said earlier, our societies were egalitarian, and many still were when European colonizers got to the Americas and in Africa. Like they did a number, but a lot of societies were still egalitarian, and they maintain that through a system of social enforcement. Again, mostly jokes. But
that's
how
we would
we
be the
maintain
queens
control,
of
right?
the new
I'm
anarchy
saying-
nation. I'm just telling you, we would have all the power in this system, and
That's
I'm
how I
here for it.
parented. Honestly,
Same.
I just parent my
Same.
kids like that. We troll each other.
Yeah, it's actually a great
It
way
works.
to keep everyone humble. But
They're mean to me though.
there
They're
is
better at
actually a place that is doing women anarchy. It's called Rojava, around Syria. Syria keeps trying to say that they're part of them, and they keep going, no.
We're our own place.
But they are really attempting to build anarchy there. And it is particularly on the oppression of women that it is important to them, everyone, that this be built. And their concern there is that when men take power, the first thing they do is hurt women.
It's true.
And so when we look at like ancient societies, when they started to form vertical hierarchies, the first things they needed to do was to control anyone who can give birth, because that was how you would pass down your wealth, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's
and
also
so,
how you
like,
control the population.
It is a huge
And
part of the
women. So you
Anyway.
control women.
Right.
Yeah,
They also
you-
create religion. They control women and they control what people believe in.
Depends on the religion, really.
Well,
Mhm.
it does. But that's
does.
a big one is if it's state endorsed or state pushed, then it's a control feature. That's all
It is. It is. Well, the invention of gods who give a shit about you was to make sure you knew that you were being watched.
I was going to say,
All
someone
the
was
time.
watching you at all times.
Some very panopticon, if anyone, it's the prison where the prisoners don't know if they're being watched, so they watch themselves. Panopticon bullshit. So like that's where we start to see those gods who actually give a shit about what we do.
Right.
Because before that, the gods don't care. They might like in stories get involved with people, but it's really on a whim.
Yeah.
They're more forces of nature than anything.
They're busy having babies with each other and
fucking shit up. And
I mean, Zeus was fucking everybody, so
and dressing as women to get married to a man. That's a thing that Thor did.
that doesn't surprise me.
They were just like they were really more forces of nature. And like if we look at a lot of indigenous American religions, they don't, their gods are not that particularly concerned with our day-to-day either, and they don't actually have gods.
That was
not really the same thing. I actually also recently learned that in Hinduism, the gods are not that big of a deal. Like
Really?
Yes. I have been listening to Aaron Rabinowitz recommended the history of philosophy in India and Africana to me, and I'm still going through India. And
This is the next time you talk to him, ask him about Ben Platt. I'm just putting that out there. Carry on.
I have no idea who Ben Platt is.
I do.
He knows Ben Platt. He's met Ben Platt. Yes.
Oh.
Aaron did lighting for Dear Evan Hansen before it went to Broadway. Yes, I'm telling you. Ask him about.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh,
we
wait,
had him on our show, and that's
the
all I
guy
let him
on
talk
Pitch
about.
Perfect, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is, Amy.
That's all I know.
Dear Evan Hansen, the movie is dog shit.
Oh, it's terrible.
I have no idea about the play.
The play is excellent. Unless you ask Aaron, he doesn't think the play is excellent. He doesn't like the narrative, but like the stagecraft, the theatrics were great. Movie was terrible. But no, he worked with the original cast because he did like lighting design for them pre-Broadway.
That is wild. I did not know that. I will bring that up.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Tell him I told you.
Oh my gosh.
We were like, come on our show and talk about philosophy. Never mind. Talk about Ben Platt. Tell me everything.
Yes. Yeah. So the reason that feminism is so important to anarchy, you're going to hear this across anarchists. However, like, I think it needs to be more important to a lot of people who call themselves anarchists.
I agree.
It's because, like, one of the most foundational ways that you control a population is by controlling those who get labeled women. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily a gender abolitionist, like the idea that we just get rid of gender, because it does seem like people like to be able to express it, but they like to be able to express their gender in very particular ways.
Well, how they feel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it does seem like, because, like, I don't know why this is, but I like being a woman. I like being perceived as a woman. That's like my whole thing. I don't have a good explanation other than it feels right.
Yeah.
It feels good. Yeah. And so I assume that that's what it's like for everyone's gender identity, is it's what feels good and feels
kind of what
right.
I've always thought.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed. It's who you are. That's how you feel. Like, that's what you want to express.
Yeah. And so, like, I am for as much variation on that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there is like 8 billion different genders, because there's 8 billion people.
Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would be my kind of way to explain it. However, I'm not necessarily for like full gender abolition. But I do think that gender should be more of a vibe than it should be a prescription. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
yes, it does.
Like, I don't know exactly what that means, but that's the way I kind of think of it, is that how we express is a vibe, and wherever we fall on that spectrum.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And there is absolutely no way that we can achieve full liberation without gender liberation, which dovetails, like, it is the same issue as queer liberation.
Absolutely.
So like, a lot of people, and it's very annoying, because when we talk like queer liberation, the feminists show up, and the feminists, and they hate trans people, and they like are so loud about how they're feminists, but they're not, because trans liberation and women's liberation are
all
the
same fight
thing. Yeah.
It's like during the like the suffragette movement, like back in the day, when Black people were like, hey, can we also be included in the conversation? They're like, oh, this is just about us. Like,
right.
It's the same thing. It's like, that was back then. They're like, just can we get on the stage? Yeah. No, you can't stand on the stage next to me. It'll scare people away.
Exactly.
Like,
it was under the guise of respectability politics, but in reality, it was
it's racism.
It was actually to prevent full liberation.
Yeah,
right? Like,
it's like, oh, we'll get to you.
A lot of the suffragettes were upper class women.
Absolutely, because they had the time to do it. They had the privilege of time to do it.
They weren't super interested in freeing women from all of the other stuff.
Yeah.
They had housekeepers and shit. They didn't want to get rid of them.
They had the time and the like freedom to do it, and they can have their little parties, and they can have their fundraisers.
And it's not to say that like that everyone would necessarily have to do housework, because like, oh man, like, let's say we actually made some progress and like abolished capital, right? It starts to sound a lot like women are going to have to go back to women's work, right? That is not what we are about,
right?
Anarchism is saying that, first of all, the ways that we live that force people to have to take on so much domestic chores is absurd. Like, we should not be so reliant on having to cook at home in order to have decent meals. There should be more communal options for
Mhm.
being able to eat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you think of all the people that actually enjoy doing that sort of thing, and like I've thought forever, why don't we? Because it's one more thing I have tons of time to organize, but in neighborhoods, like there's usually a couple of people who love to cook. What if those people pooled their resources and
Right. And they could
they
do
made
it.
meals for
love
the whole
cooking.
neighborhood? Like I
Right.
fucking hate
I don't mind
it.
cooking, but I work way too long. I work
But I
weird
love other
hours, and
stuff that
just
I can do. So
don't
it's
feel like I have the time anymore.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing, right? Is like
Mhm.
how much people are working. And also
Yep.
like
No,
these don't
I
have
love
the-
working 12-hour days though. So
everyone does.
right? It's the
Dudes
best.
don't have the excuse of, well, I worked all day. So what did you do? When we abolish capital and we get
Right.
rid of bullshit jobs, which is a book.
Mhm.
It's a good book. But like it's also a thing. Bullshit jobs are jobs that don't actually do anything,
Mhm.
except for justify the systems that we exist in.
That's what
They
my
don't
job
actually.
is.
I would say Amy's got a bullshit. We all have bullshit jobs. I have a bullshit job. It's fun, but it's
Mine's
bullshit.
kind of bullshit.
Amy's is
But
totally
I can't talk about it.
bullshit.
Mine is total. I'm not going to talk. I don't talk about mine.
No talk about
Amy-
it, but it's
Amy
bullshit.
didn't even know what I actually do until like
'Cause it's
July.
bullshit.
We've known each other for 5
Wow.
years. She didn't know what I went
She
to school
never
for.
told me.
You never
That's
asked.
impressive.
Anyway, well, we need to
Yeah,
wrap
but
up
that's
anyway
because work
because
sucks.
it does.
She just knows
So,
I
like-
work long hours.
It's
Yeah.
too much. It's too much.
It's
It
too
is.
much.
You don't. We need liberation from
do.
just these. It sucks. It
Everything
sucks,
sucks.
and we
I
can
know.
do this
And
ourselves.
we're all tired, and we shouldn't be so tired.
No,
And we don't get to do
No.
things that we love to do. We can't create as much as we would want to.
No.
exactly.
Absolutely
I want to
not.
paint and make things, and I
You
can't
guys
do
want
any
to
of
see
that
my
stuff.
most recent drawing?
Sure.
Of course.
If I can show you.
Yes, if your cat
Why
lets you.
Oh,
that's
my
gorgeous.
God. I see an octopus.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That is spectacular.
Oh, wow.
You.
You're good at that.
And I'm not gonna say you're
I-
good for a woman.
You're good for a
No.
lady.
For a
You're a
lady,
good
for a
drawer for a lady.
for a lady artist.
For a
No,
lady.
sorry. That's right. No, ladies.
Madam artist.
Mhm.
Ladies do crafts.
Yes,
Oh,
thank you. We do
ladies do
crafts,
crafts.
not art.
We don't
Which
do art.
is I will
Which is
rant
an-
about that until I die. I'm just
Yeah, I have feelings.
I have a
you
lot
and
of
I
feelings
we're
about that
let's do a
too.
whole episode just on arts versus crafts.
Yes, because I
Yes.
feel like I'm
Fucking
an
get
artist,
into
but
it.
I always thought I was
Mhm.
crafty. But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I'm an artist. Like I did.
Same.
Okay.
Same. What makes an art? I had a fantastic Facebook thread one day that so many people
makes
chimed
an-
in on.
What makes an artist is what capital thinks they can exploit the
Mhm.
most.
Exactly.
Yes, totally.
That's what it is.
Totally. Well, we have to wrap up a little
do.
earlier tonight
Oh.
because Amy and I have very important appointments tonight.
Can I give some resources then for people?
Absolutely.
Please do. Yes.
Cool. All right. So, godmother of anarchism, absolute badass Emma Goldman. Anything
Mhm.
she wrote, incredible.
Okay.
Paradise Built in Hell,
Mhm.
Humankind, which is not explicitly an anarchist text, but it's not
Mhm.
not an anarchist text.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've read that for a class at some point.
Humankind. No, so it's this one is by Rutger Bregman. Do you guys remember the guy
I might
who
have
went
read
on?
that.
Really?
I think so.
I'd be shocked if they put it in a
Hmm.
class. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the guy who went on Tucker Carlson's show and was like, "You're a millionaire funded by billionaires"?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that was at the G8 or something? And
Yes.
Yes, I
nice.
love him. That's all
Yeah,
I know
he's
about him. I
wonderful.
saw that clip
His
from the
book-
G8.
His book Humankind is
Yeah.
oh my god, it's
Okay. I'm gonna write that down.
phenomenal. Paradise Built in Hell, Emma Goldman, and I had another one in my brain, and it's gone. I don't
Okay. Well, I'm putting this in the group chat so that because Amy and I are notorious for getting to next week
We never remember what we talked
and
about.
not remembering what last week Amy and Amy talked about on the show.
I'm
know. Oh
not
my god,
drinking.
I will forget this entire conversation.
Well, I'll
I,
forget
as
in
soon
5
as I get in my
minutes.
car, and it's
As
because
soon
I'm
as
getting in
I
my car.
take this crown off,
I already took
Yeah,
my
it's
number.
everything it pulls everything out of the head, and I will not remember it. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
and
So
you'd
no.
think that
Text
after
it
this
to each
many
other.
episodes, we would have learned to do a system or something. We really don't.
Of course not.
Fuck it.
We're not
okay.
professional.
I know. What was the guy's name again? The
Professionalism.
G8 guy?
Rutger Bregman.
Rutger.
Rutger.
And
Bread.
then
It's like
you have
Bergman, but
Paradise
bread.
Made in Hell.
Okay.
Paradise Made in Hell. And
Paradise. You know what? How about this? Since I'm
Where's-
typing this wrong, how about you send it to our group chat?
yeah.
And then I don't
and
fuck
then
it
we'll
up.
add
And
it
that
to
way
the
I can
show
read the
notes.
patrons.
We'll just add it to the
So,
show notes.
there you go. So patrons, if you would like to give us some of your money, because we love everybody's money equally, we'll take all of it. We don't care.
That's
We don't
not-
care your
We
class.
like their money, but we
Well,
want
we're
your
gonna
gender, race.
pretend. While we're
Um,
pretending money is real, people
yes.
are gonna need it.
Thank you.
Well, we're on this
How do you think
train.
I buy these crowns and all of this
Exactly.
makeup? So
See, I guess anarchy could be reframed as I think everyone should be
have crowns
kings
and
and
makeup.
queens and royalty.
They
Like,
should be-
Absolutely.
They all should have access to crowns.
I think everybody. I think crowds for everybody. Fuck yeah.
I agree.
exactly.
Crowns are
Slogan.
amazing.
Slogan time. So we have a Patreon, patreon.com/secular soup. And if you give us money, we will read your name on our shows if you pledge at $6.66 a month or higher. So those patrons are Nathan, Jason, Renee, Brentley, April, Paul, Sarah, Randall, Life in the Left Lane podcast, Yesh, Natalie, Wendy, Nuggin, and Felicia. Pick a totally fucking random number off the top of your head. I don't care what it is. First number that comes. 13th
Wow.
favorite Rich.
Generous.
You're his best friend now.
That's a very high number for riches. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
have an Uncle Rich. Wow. Okay.
ooh, well, this one is
So
13th
you
favorite
understand.
Rich. Rich, you know what you did.
Sarah said
as
70
always.
billion.
Sarah said 70 billion. Which, you know what? That wasn't a good number. I'm not going to lie.
Fair.
He didn't do well that week. The point is, the lower the number, the better, because he wants to be the first favorite, but he never will be.
But you never pick first.
Never. So thank you so much for coming on, Felicia. People
That was
can catch you
awesome.
at Utah Outcasts. And now that Amy 2.0 stays up later,
We can do it
I
again.
can be
I
on
wanna
Utah
talk to you
Outcasts
about
more
this.
often.
I want
Now
to
that I
talk
don't
about
go to bed at
Yeah.
8 p.m. So anyway,
I look way hotter when I am on that show because I usually prep. I came from work, so
trust me, I do like an
You're fine.
hour of this. So if you want to stick around, Felicia, not for the patrons, but so that I can tell you stories, because Amy's probably going to leave, but I have a few
Oh, I'm
minutes and I have a
leaving.
story to tell you. So
Okay.
if you
All
stay
right, I'm
here,
gonna end the broadcast.
we will end the broadcast. You stay here, Felicia.
Bye.
I'm saying
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Thanks to all of you motherfuckers who put up with the Amy's droning on week after week. If you enjoy their delightful bitchcraft, please follow them on all of the social medias and send them all of your money on Patreon or PayPal. You can find them on these platforms by using the Google machine. It's not hard. If you want to bitch with other fans about the show, join the Secret Soup Talk Facebook group. If you want to tell Amy and Amy to fuck off personally, you can send an email to secularsouppodcast@gmail.com, although it may go unanswered. Please rate and review the show on iTunes, Facebook, and wherever else you can review things like this. It will help spread the soup gospel far and wide. And hey, text someone right now. Tell your friends. As always, we'll leave you with the vocal stylings of Mr. Eli Bosnick.
Secular soup creed. Soup is the ultimate virtue. It's delicious, nutritious, patriarchy smashing, racism fighting, warm and fuzzy, human affirming, fun having, anti-theist, glitter throwing, tummy satisfying, pair of new shoes fulfilling, diversity seeking, happiness. Minestrone, beef and barley, chicken broth and split pea, gazpacho, tomato, clam chowder and potato, chicken noodle, beef noodle, egg drop and ramen cup, miso, gumbo, leek and pho. Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.